Everything you need, everything you've been looking for, is already within you. You have everything that you need to figure out who you are and what you need to do. And this is a very difficult thing to think about and to understand because we often get so lost in the day to day experience, working, going to buy groceries, coming home, getting stuck in arguments or traffic. And so we get so clogged in the upper portion that we just cannot even fathom that being a possibility. Or even if we do, we think it's gone and we lost it. Perhaps we had a bad experience, we had a traumatic event, multiple traumatic events, and they have caused us to separate and split from our soul. And now the only thing left is the ego and the storm that it can create when we sit within it. I'm here to tell you that you have what you need. Now the question is, how do we even begin to even figure out how to bring the soul forward? How do we even get these two things, the ego and soul, integrated in order for us to live a holistic, complete, full life? There's many ways, but some of the first ways you can try is exploring the depths of your memories that you've been avoiding your whole life. Memories and emotional knots, as they're called, within your unconscious mind that we've been packing away because it's been too painful, or perhaps we've had to pack it away because there was a period in our lives where we had to. Maybe we had to bear a lot of responsibility for a certain amount of time, and we couldn't, bring it up and deal with it now. Otherwise, we would collapse totally and completely. And I totally understand that. But at some point, we need to tangle and wrestle with those aspects, with the shadow element of our being. And so the first thing you can try to do is give yourself a sacred time during the day. It could be 10 minutes, it could be 20 minutes. Obviously, the longer, the better. We on a side note, we spend so much time getting to know other people that we often just completely ignore ourselves and not even know who we are. And you got to think of yourself as a buddy, as an old friend. You got to get to know who you are. And so you make yourself that sacred space. And the idea behind this sacred space is so there's no distractions, no phones, no other people, just you, your soul, and your ego. And what you want to do is sit within that quiet space and see what thoughts come up. What are the images that come up? What are the words that come up? Because know that we have our conscious mind, the world you see right here, and the words you think and what you interpret. But then beneath that surface, the place we can't see is the unconscious realm, this beautiful mystery that creates and brings up symptoms and emotions, and it can also make you experience life in its fullest, but also its tragedies. It is a beautiful, but yet also fearful, mysterious, destructive place if we don't understand it and we don't respect it. And so what you want to try to do is give yourself the opportunity to reflect inward and understand, what are the memories that I've been packing away for so long? What are the issues and challenges and emotions that seem to come up during a regular week? Perhaps I find myself angry often. Why am I angry? What are things I'm angry about? Also know that emotions trail down often into the unconscious, and they link to something. They link to a complex. Perhaps your father used to yell at you all the time when you were a child, and that's been sort of ingrained, and you pushed it to the side, didn't want to deal with it. But now that complex has formed itself a bit of a personality, and then it brings itself forward, and you manifest those same behaviors. Because if we don't acknowledge them, they have a bit of a mind of their own. And when you can understand them, the few things you want to think about when you start to understand what they are is you have to observe them with curiosity and adventure and compassion. You cannot look at them with judgment because it's you. It's a part of you. And so give yourself the grace. Give yourself the compassion and the gratitude that although maybe they're bad, they've brought certain parts of you that are good, that has built up now, that's allowed you to live the life you live. And so when you can observe them with curiosity and adventure, you can then allow it to come forward. And the idea behind that is you have to allow the emotions to roll through and flow. When you constrict and hold and push down, the equivalent I can think of in terms of a metaphor is drinking like carbonated water, and when the urge to burp comes up, you hold it and you suppress it. What happens? Well, it hurts. It starts to hurt. You want to burp. You want to let that sucker out. And what can often happen is there's two scenarios that can happen. When you hold and suppress, you'll get what I call leakage. Leakage is when that suppressed energy needs to balance itself and needs to release. That emotional knot, those memories, all those things that you've experienced in your life that's been packed away and stored. And imagine throughout your life, certain events, certain moments, certain people trigger that memory, trigger that emotion, and we push it down. Leakage is its attempt to release some of that pressure, some of that steam. And it can be released in ways you wouldn't think. Maybe it gets released through passive aggressiveness. Maybe it gets released through mischievous behavior. Or maybe it gets released through acts of great kindness, but you allow people to walk all over you. So there's leakage, small releases, or explosions. You hold it, and then boom, you have a massive fit of anger. Or you have a massive bout of depression, nihilism, regret, guilt. It just hits you super heavy, feeling like you're like this all the time. And if that's how you're feeling, there are more than likely memories and traumas you need to wrestle with. You need to understand them. How do they relate to one another? And when you can start to understand how they relate to one another, you can then either let go of that story. You visually imagine that story in front of you, separating it from yourself to see it right in front. And then once you can imagine it, its shape, its look, its design, its history, and everything, perhaps at that point you can just cast it away from your life. I am done with that story. That is not who I am anymore. Or you can integrate it, bringing it into you and saying, you know what? That is still a part of me that has provided the strength. And it's not that it's bad, it just wasn't under control. But it's a part of me. And so you can integrate it into yourself, harnessing its power. And then you can also reinterpret, reimagine the story going forward. All those bad experiences that happened to you that now have come to the foreground, and you're wrestling and you're emotional about it, and you're feeling the weight, and that's at the same time you're feeling this release, this lift, this more wholeness to you. And now you can take that and reinterpret your journey going forward, saying, now I'm going to take that memory and maybe help other people, or maybe allow myself to start a business that can let people do X, Y, and Z, whatever the direction is. But now that event and that memory and that energy that was once sort of killing you from within is now being aimed forward to a better world. And so give yourself that sacred space. Be patient with yourself. These things don't happen quickly. Even when I talk to my clients, because this is the work I do, I help people rediscover who they are, rebuild purpose, and then move towards a more ego and soul integrated life. And I tell them all the time, this is not a quick fix. Don't think of it as something quick. It can't be rushed. You have to give yourself the time, make it a part of your life. Because you also want to enjoy your life at the same time you want to build yourself and discover who you are. You don't want to just get stuck in the mechanical element and just do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to wake up and do this and this and this. There's a place for that for sure. Of course you have to have that. You can't not have that. But you also want to enjoy life. Its beauty. The smells, the sights, the people. Experiencing love and gratitude and warmth and community. Make sure you have that balance for yourself. So if this resonated with you, I would absolutely love for you guys to join my community. If you click that link below, it'll send you over to my website. And then you can just input just your email, and then it'll be part of my monthly newsletter. And as a thank you, I'm going to send you my 3-step identity rebuilding guide. And this was a community I wish I had. When I went through my time of identity loss, I wanted to be a world champion in jiu-jitsu, got to black belt, and I won tournaments. I won a lot of big titles. But when that dream faded away, I didn't know who I was anymore, and I had to rebuild from the ground up. And That's why I built my Rule of Three method, to help me do that. And now I feel this great sense of purpose and meaning giving it to you guys and helping you get out of that desert. So if it resonated with you, I'd love for you guys to join the community. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video.